Good morning, students. Today we read class 10 Science, chapter 16. Topic is Management of Natural Resources. In our previous class, we have discussed three R's, the principle of three R's, that is reduce, recycle, and reuse, and also the resources like forest and wildlife, how it can be measured, how it can control the loss of these forest products, how can we are the stakeholders of the forest, the participation of local people to protect the forest for cutting down. Next, we'll read about the water, that is water for all, how water is essential for us and how it can be prevented or it can be preserved here. How can we recharge the groundwater? What are the sources to check the pollution of water? What are the factors that used to check the pollution of water? And so on. For water, the important source is rain. Rain is the important source of water. Rainwater is stored in lakes for use over a long period of time. There are some natural lakes in our country. Some artificial lakes have also been made at different places to store rainwater to meet the increasing demands of water. In fact, many cities of our country depend on such lakes for their water supply during the year. Despite good rains, we are not able to meet the demand for water of all the people because our population is increasing rapidly. Due to lack of sufficient vegetation cover on ground, only little rainwater seeps into the ground, that by which the underground water will be recharged. The water table will increase, but less amount of water will seep in the ground. Next, the highly yielding varieties of crops require much more amount of water for its irrigation. The discharge of untreated sewage and industrial waste into the rivers and lakes reduces the availability of usable water. When the chemical substance is discharged, or when some other harmful substances mixed with water and discharged into the sources of water like rivers, then this water becomes unfit to use. That is by which we get less amount of usable water. The changing of lifestyle of people, especially in urban areas, is consuming more water for their daily needs. Next, rivers are another important source of water. First, it is the rainwater. Second, river is another important source of water. These rivers get their water supply from the melting of snow lying on the peak of snow mountains, that is in the form of glaciers, as well as from rains also. The management of river water is only done by constructing dams on the river. Dam. In order to make proper use of water, dams are constructed across the river to regulate the flow of water. In our country, dams have been built across many rivers. The large reservoir of dams stores a huge amount of water. This stored water is then allowed to flow downstream at a desired rate. Like Bhakra Dam is one such dam which has been built across the river Satluj, in the state of Punjab in our country. Dams built across the rivers are big storehouse of river water. How the dams are useful for the society. How the dams are useful. First, water from a dam is used for irrigation. First, in the dam are is used for irrigation. In the network of channel. When it is constructed a dam, then water that is present in the dams is used for irrigation in the network of canals. This through these canals, water flows in the field, and we can get water in our crop field. Dams ensures round the years supply to the crop fields and help raise agricultural production. Next, water from a dam is supplied to the people in towns and cities through pipelines after suitable treatment. In this way, construction of dams ensure continuous water supply in the region. Water is supplied to the people through pipeline in towns and cities. The demand of water is fulfilled by supplying this water present in the dam through pipelines to the people for their daily needs. Next, falling water or that flowing water from the dam is used for generating electricity. Third one, it is used for generating electricity. When water flows from a high part to this from a higher region to lower region, then this flowing water can run the blades of turbine by which electricity is generated. In this way, we can use the water present in our reservoir, that is dam. Next, pollution of river water. The water next we discuss about the disadvantage of this construction of dam. The public opposition to the construction large dam on the river is mainly due to some problems. That is the disadvantages of construction of dam. disadvantages of construction of dams. First one is social problem. Due to the construction of high-rise dams, a large number of human settlements, that is villages, are submerged in water of large reservoir formed by the dam, and many people are rendered homeless. This creates a social problem. It is therefore necessary that all the people who are displaced from the dam site are given adequate compensation by the government for rehabilitation so as to start their life afresh. Second one is environmental problems. The construction of high-rise dams on the rivers contributes to deforestation and loss of biodiversity. This is because a vast variety of flora and fauna gets submerged in water of large reservoir formed by the dam and disturb the ecological balance. Next, economic problem. Some people say that the construction of high-rise dams involves the spending of huge amount of public money without the generation of proportionate benefits. On the other hand, others say that there can be no real progress without building dams because they allow us to manage our water resources properly and at the same time gives us much needed electricity. So, whether the construction of dam or rivers is an economic problem or not is a debatable questions. Next, we discuss about the pollution of river water. The pollution of river water is caused by dumping of untreated sewage and industrial waste. If some harmful substance get mixed with the water becomes polluted, and it happens when untreated sewage or the chemical substance come from any factory, the fertilizers or pesticides when come from a crop field, and it mixed with any water body, then the water of that water body becomes polluted. In this way, the river water also gets polluted. The contamination of river water can be usually found from two factors. First one is the presence of coliform bacteria in the river water. The second, the measurement of pH of the river water. We have already discussed in our previous class about this pollution of water. That Ganga Action Plan also. The pH of water is measured by using the universal indicator by which we can know about the pH of water. If the pH of water is less than 7, it becomes acidic, and in that acidic water, the animals or the plants, the living organism who live in that water, their body will be affected. A multi-crore Ganga Action Plan project was launched in 1985 to clean the river Ganga and make its water pollution free. Well and tube wells, that is bore wells, are yet another source of water. Some of the rainwater which falls on earth seeps through the soil and goes down under the surface of earth. Ultimately, this water is stopped by some hard rocks and collected. This underground water is taken out by digging a well a deep well into the ground. This is called water, underground water. Such wells are a common sight in these areas. The deep tube well called bore well are also dug into the earth, which are much deeper than the ordinary wells, and their water is drawn out by using water pumps. Next, in order to maintain the water table at a proper depth, it is necessary to ensure better percolation of rainwater into the soil. A scheme that is called rainwater harvesting is recommended to stop flowing of rainwater and make it percolate into the soil more efficiently. That is rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting. The people in rural areas in India have used a large number of water collecting methods to capture as much rainwater as possible which had fallen on their land. Some of the methods used for water harvesting by rural people were first digging up small pits and lakes, building of small earthen dams, construction of dikes, next construction of sand and limestone reservoirs, and setting up rooftop water collecting units. In rural areas, it is done by first one is digging up small pits and lakes. Second, building up small earthen dams. Third, construction of dikes. Next, construction of sand and limestone reservoir. Like this. These are the methods that rainwater is harvested in rural areas. The main purpose of water harvesting is not to hold the rainwater on the surface of earth, but to make the rainwater percolate into the ground to recharge the groundwater or underground water. The various advantages by it that water stored in the ground does not evaporate easily. The water which is present under the ground will not evaporate like the water present in open surface. So, by evaporation, much more amount of water is lost from the surface, but in the water present underground water will not evaporate. The water stored in ground spreads out to recharge wells and provides moisture for crops over a wide areas. Through this underground water, the open well will be recharged here. Next, The water stored in ground does not promote breeding of mosquitoes like that happens in that open water. The mosquitoes breeds in the water, but in underground water, mosquito can't breed there. Next, the water stored in ground is protected from contamination by human and animal waste. When some chemical substance, human waste or animal waste, it comes and mixed with the water will be evaporated, water will be polluted there, but the groundwater will not be polluted. It is safe from such type of pollutant. Next, the water stored in ground is utilized for benefit of local populations. Next, we'll discuss about coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum are called fossils. These are fossil fuels. Fuels means the substance which gives us energy, generally heat energy, and burning it, that is called fuels. And this coal and petroleum are the fossils of the organism, so they are called fossil fuels. These are natural resources which are important sources of energy for us. Coal is used as a fuel such as in homes and industry for burning purposes, or it is used for generating electricity in thermal power plant. Petroleum products like petrol and diesel, they are used as a fuel in transport of to run scooters, motorcycle, bus, car, etc. And the ships and aeroplanes also. Kerosene and LPG, which are liquefied petroleum gas. That LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, and that kerosene, both obtained for petroleum, are used as domestic fuels for cooking food. Since the industrial revolution, we are being fulfill our demand by using such fuels, coal and petroleum. We have been using increasing amount of energy to meet our basic needs, that is likely cooking food, and for the manufacture of goods upon which our life depends. All these energy needs have so far been met mostly by coal and petroleum that reserves in the earth. Then coal and petroleum in the earth are limited. These are exhaustible natural resources. If we use this coal and petroleum in this type of increasing rate, then a day will come when the total stock of this coal and petroleum in the earth will vanish. Coal and petroleum were formed from the degradation of biomass of plants and animals respectively, buried under the earth for about millions of years ago. We obtained coal from the coal mines, and we can obtain it by digging the earth, and petroleum is obtained by digging the oil wells deep in the earth. The crude petroleum oil obtained from the well, crude petroleum oil, which is a viscous liquid, black color liquid, have pungent smell, from where we get petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. by a method that is called fractional distillation. It has been estimated that at the present rate of consumption, we known petroleum reserves of the earth will last for just about 40 years more, and the coal will last for about another 200 years. So once exhausted, coal and petroleum will not be available us in near future. So it is therefore necessary to conserve or to save the coal and petroleum resources of the earth by reducing the consumption so that they may last for as long as possible. So how to reduce the consumption of this coal and petroleum? Some methods we can follow by which we can reduce the consumption of this coal and petroleum. First, that switch off the lights, fan, television and other electrical appliances when it is not necessary for us. This will save that loss of electricity, a lot of electricity we can save by this method. Without without it is necessary, we should not switch on any electrical appliances. Next, use energy efficient electrical appliances to save electricity. If our electrical appliances is very efficient, that it needs less amount of electricity and gives us more work. Like in place of ordinary bulb, we can use CFL or LED bulb, which consumes less amount of electricity and gives us more amount light. Next, use stairs to climb at least up to 3 floors of a building in place of taking the lift. It can save electricity also. It is easy for us to move staircase by using the steps, to climb by the steps. By using this staircase we can climb, but generally they used to run the lift there that needs electricity. So if you will not use this lift up to 2 to 3 stairs, then we can save some electricity. Next, pressure cooker should be used for cooking purpose, that needs less amount of LPG, because in short time we can cook our food using this pressure cooker. That saves some fuels here. Next, good quality stoves should be used to burn fuels, because in this good quality stoves require less amount of gas. Or that less amount of kerosene. So we can save this gas or kerosene here. Next, solar cookers should be used to cook food if it is possible, because every time solar cooker cannot be used, like in cloudy areas or during night we can't use it. But when it is possible, we should use solar cookers that doesn't need that coal or petroleum. Next, the use of biogas as domestic fuel should be encouraged in rural areas. They can make such type of biogas plant by which they can cook their food in place of using this coal or petroleum. We can save it. Next, bicycles should be used for covering short distances to save precious fuels like petrol. Next, public transport system in the cities should be improved so that people do not commute in their personal vehicles. That saves a lot of petrol and diesels also. Next, fuel efficient engines of motorcycles or vehicles should be designed to reduce the consumption of petrol or diesel. Next, we will discuss about pollution caused by burning of coals and petrol. Since coal and petroleum had been formed from biomass, uh, therefore in addition to carbon and hydrogen, they are also contain nitrogen and sulfur elements. When coal and petroleum based fuels like petrol, diesel, kerosene are burnt, the products of combustion will be carbon dioxide, water, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, etc. And if combustion takes place in an insufficient supply of oxygen, that insufficient supply of air, that means insufficient supply of oxygen, then carbon monoxide also released. Out of all these products of combustion of these fuels, only water is harmless, and other things what are produced by burning this coal and petroleum, they all can affect the environment. They can pollute the environment. These are harmful and hence pollute the environment. Like sulfur dioxide attack the lungs, causing bronchitis and other disease. This bronchitis and some other respiratory tract infections also. Sulfur dioxide also dissolves in rainwater, making it acidic. This acid rain thus produced damaged trees, plants, building and metal structures. Just like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides attack the breathing system and also cause acid rain. Carbon monoxide is very poisonous gas. If carbon monoxide gets into our blood, then it stops RBC from carrying oxygen from the lungs to rest of the body, that causing suffocation. Too much carbon monoxide cause the death also. Those carbon dioxide is not a poisonous gas, but it is it can cause greenhouse effect. It can trap the solar energy and cause this greenhouse effect. The burning of more and more fossil fuels is increasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that causing increased greenhouse effect, leading to global warming. So we need to use fossil fuels judiciously, because fossil fuels left in the earth are limited and will get exhausted very soon. And second, the products of combustion of fuels are combustion of these fuels can pollute the environment. Okay, this much is present in this chapter. Thank you.